Sports is a very unique and special thing for anime, and of course there are a lot of renowned sports anime out there like Hajime no Ippo, Haikyuu, Kuroko no Basket, and many others. And there are a lot of people who fell in love with the over the top and the craziness and the hype of sports anime. And now saying that I might have found the best episode in the sports anime history is a very tall order. But what will you think when I say I have found just that? And that quote-unquote best episode of sports anime history comes from Medalist, second season, the episode 2. But when I say the best episode of sports anime history, I have to of course explain myself and prove myself of why that is. So let's do that. And to prove that, I have to start with the one thing because of which the whole episode worked. If that was not present in it, this whole episode will fall apart, and that is this old man. Now, seriously, I'm serious. By watching the anime Medalist, we knew the basic rules of the sports of ice skating. We knew how the competition works. We knew that there are different steps. We knew that there are different choreographies. And we understood the point system. And by understanding those things, we got used to those rules and we made our own mindset on those. But this old man revised all of those basic steps, and by him revising those steps, we, all of us viewers, re-evaluated our own thoughts on those rules. He made us rethink the pure danger of just standing on that ice. These small children are now skating on that ice. The pure danger of performing, of doing those steps that we got used to was immense. But we got used to that thing. But this old man, revised those rules and we re-evaluated all of those beliefs, all of those thoughts. And we now understood again the danger of the simplest step on that ice. And when the anime did that, the other part comes up, the pain. What the fuck? Now, come a little closer. I was about to fall. And now what do I mean by pain? Pain is one of the most important things of this episode. This episode had two types of pain: physical and psychological pain. Well, the first is the physical pain. The physical pain was of trying to do a step and then falling face first into a wall. But that physical pain ends physically. But the second one, psychological pain, that is the important one. Now, ice skating is a sport that children start at a very young age. At the age of 5, 6, 7, at that type of an age. And then they try again and again of trying to just skate on that ice. And then after mastering skating, then doing different steps. After learning those steps, then learning more difficult steps. And then physically hurting yourself. And then entering in a competition where you only have 3 minutes to perform. 3 minutes to show all of your life efforts. And a single mistake can mean that your whole life does not matter. All of your beliefs, all of your thoughts can go to waste. You trying to prove yourself, your coach, giving your whole life meaning. All of those things can go to waste by a single fucking mistake. But failing in those last 3 minutes, those 3 minutes where you have to perfectly do every single thing, that can destroy you. That can destroy you mentally. that can be much more painful than any physical pain. By watching these four characters that I have never seen, I've never heard it of their name. This was the first time of me seeing them. The immense pain that I was feeling for them. I wanted to just cross off the episode and not watch it. I was shaking. My body was shaking. I was feeling that physical pain, and I wanted to just close the episode and not watch it because of that pain. But then thinking about that my pain is so much little. These characters that are trying to prove their own life, their own self in just 3 minutes. Their pain is much more immense. They are feeling much more pain. And then I watched the episode. I felt their pain. That is amazing. The fear of losing everything, the fear of not proving yourself, the fear of you losing your life purpose, that is present there. A single mistake can destroy your whole life, physically, mentally. It can destroy you. A single mistake will mean that you yourself don't matter. That fear is a very important thing that most people, most sports anime don't use at all. Fear is a very strong emotion. We always call that fear with that horror spooky stuff. But fear is a very strong emotion that other anime should use. But most of the time, anime don't use the fear factor at all. They don't realize it. Now I'm not saying that other sports anime don't use fear. They use that. And we feel the fear of them losing. But that fear is not personalized. That fear does not feel that important to you that you should care about that fear. The thing that you mostly focus on is the epicness or the risk of losing a match or whatever happening. But the fear of losing that match is not that well explored, well shown. And that is the thing. Fear is a very strong emotion. We watch horror movies because the feeling of fear, the emotion of fear is a very strong emotion. And we feel it no matter what. The jump scares, we get jump scared. And that is a form of fear. And that is such an reflexive, instinctive reaction. That is why fear is an important factor in any story, in my point of view. And it can be much more important in sports. But other sports don't use it at all. But Medalist uses it. And in this episode, in this specific episode, it destroyed me with that fear. That fear was not my fear. I didn't need it to feel it at all. But I felt it because it felt personal, much more personal than any other thing, any other sports. Now, not any other. There are a lot great sports anime out there, but most don't use this fear factor. That is why. That is one of the biggest reasons why I think that Medalist Season 2 Episode 2 is not one of the best episode of the sports anime history. And there you have it. And that's it. Bye. And subscribe and watch video. Bye bye.